In 1971, the Nobel Prize winner Herbert Simon observed that a wealth of information creates a poverty of attention. Let that sit for a minute. He wrote that more than 50 years ago, and we've now watched this play out through the expansion of the internet and social media ever since. We've been operating in this attention economy that he described, and every single one of us knows this to be true. And here is my belief that in a world where intelligence is now abundant, AI is creating the sequel to Simon's observation. A wealth of intelligence now creates a poverty of judgment. And that's what I want this whole video to be about. And I think it's the most important thing for anyone that's running a company to understand today. And I call this the human judgment premium. I'm Mason Whitaker, the president of Volt Technologies. We are deploying agents into production inside real businesses every single week. These are not demos and not pilots. So everything I'm going to tell you is what I am watching happen on the front lines on the ground. And here's what we're going to cover in the video. Number one, why intelligence just became abundant and trending towards free. Number two, what the human judgment premium is and why it compounds instead of fading away. Number three, what we're seeing firsthand in our own deployments and what the gap between people actually is. And number four, the problem that almost nobody is planning for right now, which is the path to building judgment is actually disappearing. And number five, it's 4 principles to build for that disappearing of judgment deliberately. So let's start with where we are today. Here in 2026, we have instant access to tools that just a few years ago, we would have called artificial general intelligence, or AGI, as everyone calls it. Take a second with that because I think we really skipped right past this. These tools can now perform most tasks better than the average human, and they are remarkably inexpensive relative to the work that they're replacing or they're augmenting. In my own line of work, we're putting agents inside of production, inside real businesses every single week, and we have tasks that we would have seen humans take previously weeks, if not months, now accomplished within minutes and hours instead. This is only when applied in the right way though. And that sentence is the whole thing. This is not something that is a caveat that I'm asterisk trying to protect myself. That's the entire variable. So here's the question that matters. What determines whether something is categorically correct or right? It is the human that matters the most, who is pointing these tools towards an expected outcome and directing them along the journey. Nothing else in this whole system decides that. So in a world where we have access to these AGI level tools and an almost unending fountain of intelligence growing at now an exponential rate, the scarce resource has become the human who can apply their own judgment to achieve a specific outcome. And if you're an executive listening to this, notice what happened to your constraint. It's no longer capability and it's no longer capacity. Your constraint is direction and human judgment. So this is what I call the human judgment premium. And this is not a slogan. It is really an economic observation or principle. And it's the reason that I'm confident that this is going to be permanent rather than just a phase in the market. History has proven that when a resource becomes abundant, like we're seeing intelligence trending towards free, the value migrates to its complements. And that is not theory. That's what happens every single time. When something gets very cheap, whatever's pairing with it becomes valuable. Intelligence is this resource that is getting cheaper, but judgment is the complement that actually makes it valuable, which means that as intelligence continues to compound, and it certainly will, the premium compounds with it. The abundance story that people are saying is that machines are going to handle everything. And the doom story that people are saying is that machines are going to replace everyone. Both of those stories are dropping the human out of the equation. Economic principle says actually the opposite, that the human is becoming the main staple in the equation. Now let me show you what this looks like inside a real company, because we're seeing it firsthand. Access to these AGI level tools is abundant. You can get it off the shelf from any frontier model provider, yet the difference in outcomes comes down to the person who's directing the tool. Across the technology implementation ecosystem today, we're seeing individuals given the same tools, the same training, same shared access to context, and they have the same role and department, really the same everything. And without fail, certain individuals substantially increase their capacity as well as the quality of their outcomes, while others struggle and stagnate stagnate. So this is the same tool, but a wildly different outcome every time. And for a while, I thought the natural, thing is the assumption is that, well, this is a training problem. And it is not. What we have found in our own deployments is that the gap is not prompt engineering or know how to better instruct the AI. It's not having a deeper understanding of the tool itself or usage of the tool for that matter. It's the ability to understand what should be done and why. Having this clear picture of the outcome is what enables a person to know what good looks like. And then when the tool is complete, to validate what it produced. So think about how much rest on the second half of that problem. So the validation. If you cannot tell whether the output is right, then speed is not helping you at all. It's just moving you in the wrong direction faster. So the ability to think critically about a goal, understand why it matters, visualize that outcome and what that should look like, that's the clear differentiator now. And so the model has never been the differentiator. The judgment that's directing it is. And here's the part that honestly concerns me the most, and almost nobody is planning for this. Judgment of this caliber is not something that's just built overnight. It takes years of training and activity to develop this domain expertise, to understand what good really looks like, and to know where you should be pointing the tools. You don't get this from just taking a course online. You get this from doing real reps. And here's the new problem. The very activities which always were used to build that judgment within someone have now been delegated to the tools. So think about that for a second, because it's a genuine paradox that we're dealing with. The work that made people good at knowing what good looks like is exactly the work that we just handed off over to the machines, like grinding through reconciliation of data, building out models by hand, owning outcomes when things go badly. This natural path of learning judgment is disappearing, and the gap between those who have judgment and those who do not have judgment is going to widen in the years to come. The good news, though, is there is a way to build for this deliberately. And here's 4 principles for you to enable this. The first one, principle 1, hire for judgment and train for tools. Tool fluency is a commodity that you can train on and install in really just weeks. But direction and judgment, that's an asset that has to be acquired over time. So it's important to hire for that. Principle 2, arm the people who already have judgment in your team, that already have shown that they can do this, have the domain expertise, arm them with these tools. The returns that AI has concentrate where judgment already exists within the organization. So a strong operator enabled with agents doesn't just get incrementally better, they get categorically better. Principle 3, you want to manufacture these judgment reps. You want to put juniors inside real decisions early on, make them articulate the why of the task, and then focus on what they're visualizing the outcome should be before any tool moves to execute. And that sequence, that building of the judgment is now the rep. Principle 4, you want to measure direction and not activity. So output volume and execution is now nearly free. What's important is that we measure, did the right thing happen and did it happen for the right reason? So 4 principles, and notice not a single one of those is about model advancement. And that's really the point. So here's what the human judgment premium really is. It's the recognition that machines are making execution and activity almost free, but they made the right people priceless. With access to these tools commoditized, an organization's people will be the main differentiator. It's my belief that they always have been. So 3 things to remember here in the end. Number 1, a wealth of intelligence now creates a poverty of judgment. So your scarce resource in your company is now the human who can point the tools to the right outcome. And number 2, the premium compounds now because value is migrating to the complement of whatever just got cheap. So as intelligence trends towards almost free, that judgment is going to be the premium. Number 3, you want to build a judgment learning pipeline very deliberately. Because this path that used all through history of building judgment is now gone or it's disappearing. So that is, something you should be investing in very deliberately. So thanks for listening. Hopefully you got some value out of this. Subscribe and follow for more insight because there's a lot more to come.